their bones in the 70s. And yeah, of course, they were the kings of the 80s, but these guys, they weren't the 80s hair band guys. Those guys were imitating Van Halen. Van Halen was hands down the most imitated band, and Eddie, for crap's sake, was the most imitated guitarist on the face of the earth. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hendrix inspired the living hell out of people, and still does. But Eddie, people wanted to be Eddie. People were literally imitating his lick for licks. But no one could really capture his sound because he has such a uniqueness to his playing.
Right. I don't disagree with you that they're a 70s band, but I wouldn't tag 1972 as a year.
Well, they formed like late 72.
Yeah, but nobody knew who they were until 78.
No, I understand.
When the first album came out.
Right, agreed. But the skeleton and the formation of the band took place in the 70s. So, but that's like saying Quiet Riot was a 70s band, and no one would ever say that. But wait a second.
They did not hit it big until the 80s.
And when they hit it big in the 80s, they were a completely different lineup with the exception of Kevin DeBrow. I mean, you have to realize these four guys were together through the 70s, playing rock shows, writing songs, in and out of clubs, backyard parties, and then by the end of the 70s, hit massive success. And let's give them credit. They were doing it during the disco era. 78 and 79 was when a lot of the other 70s rock bands were hitting the skids. They were crashing. Sabbath was falling apart. Zeppelin was ending. You know what I mean? Like these bands. No,
I hear you.
Yeah, they were hangovering at the time.
Listen, before you start getting on your soapbox again about how they don't get the respect they deserve.
Right.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So let's focus on 1995 and the balance.
Right, that's right. So let's get right into the album, and I think this album starts off with a bang. So just to give you an overview, I do feel like this album is overlooked. I happen to really enjoy this album. I think there's a lot of good stuff here, and we'll go through it step by step. There's some mistakes along the way, and there's stuff on this album that shouldn't be here, and I will note that. But I think there's some real gems here. So just to start off, and one of the gems is the opening track, which is The Seventh Seal. It is a darker tune, and the album starts off with sort of an ominous sound. It's got the Buddhist monks from the Guide to Tantric University, and their prayer chanting, and it almost feels like a horror movie in the beginning. But this is one badass track. The lyrics here apparently were inspired by the Ingmar Bergman film of the same name about a knight who plays chess with death. It's got really some of the best Van Hagar sound overall. I still like Alex Van Halen's drum sound from the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album better, but you can hear Mikey's bass. Ed is crisp and clean. Sammy's never sounded better. He sounds unbelievable on this album. Really strong. Little by little, gonna get it, I swear. One more piece of the puzzle out there. Yeah. Gotta get lucky, gotta get that done. Little bit of luck never hurt no one. And there's some really interesting layering to this song. What did you make of this one, Dave?
Great opening track for the album.
Yep.
I like it a lot. I think it's definitely in my top 3 of songs from this album.
Right, sure.
Starts off really good. Mm-hmm. And in my Cliff Clavin moment of the day, courtesy of the Van Halen Encyclopedia.
Yes.
This song was nominated for a Grammy.
Absolutely.
For Best Hard Rock Performance. Mm-hmm. And deservedly so. And you're right. I think the lyrics are solid.
Wait a second before you move on. Do you know who beat it?
I do not know who beat it.
So they didn't win, but It was beaten by. So this is the Best Hard Rock Performance, January 1996, because it's always the next year. Right. Van Halen didn't win. They lost to the Smashing Pumpkins' Bullet with Butterfly Wings.
Interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Oh, see, I'm old now. I forgot where I was.
You said the Cliff Clavin moment.
The lyrics are good. There's definitely some unbalanced lyrics here and there. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I will say this song starts off the serious tone of this album. There's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of seriousness. You mentioned a light and a dark.
Yep.
This is not, I wouldn't call this a party album.
No.
There's a lot of seriousness and darkness on this album.
Yeah.
And Seven Steel starts off that tone. The pace of the song is like I don't know what you would call it. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. It's got like this
mid-level grind. Yeah.
Mid-level pace going, which is the case for quite a few songs on this album.
Right.
Which does keep it balanced, but can get repetitive after a while.
It does have a nice driving riff to it, though. It's kind of cool. You know what I think?
Yes,
I think you're missing, though, Dave? We're missing a big solo from Ed on this song. There really isn't any here.
That would almost make it the grungiest song on the album.
Yeah.
If you think grunge is something without a solo. I get that's true, but I mean he certainly makes up for it later with other songs. There's no lack of solos.
Oh no, not at all. I'm talking about just this song.
No, I agree. But you know what? You really don't miss it because the song is that good.
Yeah, that's very true. The song is that good, and there's a lot of interesting things here. The monks return halfway through the song, about 2 minutes and 46 seconds in. The drums sound great. Sammy called this a prayer to avoid Armageddon. This is definitely a strong track, so definitely a cool way to start the album. Like Dave said, definitely got an edge to it. But here's the funny part. You got a real dark song. We come into song number 2, and my God, it couldn't be lighter. I mean, it is as light can be. So Can't Stop Loving You. Oh, we should note that Seven Seal was almost the title of the album. And it was the title of the album until, like, towards the end. They ended up, changing it. I don't know why. I thought Seven Seal would have been a cool title, but Balance is fine, too. That's okay.
When it comes to album titles, I'm just glad it wasn't a number,
right,
or it wasn't goofy,
or an acronym,
anything like that. It was actually a word.
Yeah, that's right. That's
so, true. I mean, that was progress.
That is true. That's true. So the next tune, like we said, is Light as a Feather, Can't Stop Loving You. And boy, is this a light, fluffy pop tune. Oh, it's so radio-friendly, it's almost paint by numbers. And apparently this was a last-minute ad, which I have a feeling was a request from Warner Brothers, the record company, because they wanted a pop single. Because maybe they
I think Bruce Fairburn requested that.
Yeah, but right, and I'm sure he was the one giving the orders. My guess, I can't speak for anybody, but my guess is very often when they hand an album in to a record company and they go, we need a little something here. We need something to work with. You know what I mean?
Right.
They do that.
I wouldn't bet against you.
Yeah, they do that all the time. And Bruce is the one to deliver that news, I think. So this is super radio friendly. It's one of the, like I said, the last songs to be recorded. And it was the second single, and apparently it was sung from the perspective of Sammy's ex-wife, Betsy, which is so fucking bizarre to think about. I found that out after researching this album for this podcast, and I couldn't believe that. What a strange sort of perspective. He was going through the divorce, I guess, at the time, and or I guess he already had the divorce at that point, but I guess he had gone through the whole mud of that. But very much like Dreams, this is sort of a perfectly constructed hit single. It's clean as can be. It's sort of undeniable. It's hard to criticize because it is very, very well done. It's incredibly recorded. It's unbelievably catchy. Funny thing is, Dave, I'll give you a little Cliff Clavin note. I know this is normally your thing, but even this is another thing I found out about this song. He name checks Ray Charles in this song, and I didn't even know he did that.
Hey, Ray, what you said is true.
Oh, yeah, because Ray Charles had a similarly titled song, right?
Right. He had a song called I Can't Stop Loving You, which is why I guess they called this Can't Stop Loving You. And at the end he says, "Hey, Ray, what you said is true. I can't stop loving you." Now, I didn't even hear him say Ray back in the day. I didn't think he said Ray. I thought he said just like hey or something like that. It was interesting. So
that's funny. Yeah, he goes, "That's what you say, Ray." He says that a couple of times in the song, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty,
isn't that
that's
weird?
funny.
And it's a cover of a Don Gibson song from 1962. And apparently it was a huge hit for Ray Charles. He had sold 2 million copies and went to the top of the charts with the song. So that's sort of interesting. Eddie also plays acoustic electric on this song, and he uses a EBMM. Hit number 7 on the Billboard charts, this song.
Whoa. You sure about that, brother?
That's what it said. You think I'm wrong?
I thought it only went as high as like number 29 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Maybe,
I'm really surprised it's that high. Ron will correct us. Have no fear.
Here we go with fucking Ron already. Wait till fucking already heard from him in the mailbag. I had like 3 fucking mailbags this week from Ron.
I'm going to try and look it up while we keep talking.
All right, you look it up while you keep talking. I'm so sore as it is for him. This is sort of an undeniable tune. Like, it's a little mushy. It's got sort of a Hallmark vibe to it, but it's hard to criticize. It's so well made, and I like it. It's just kind of vanilla without the chips. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you exactly.
What did you make of this one?
So, yeah, it goes from like 0 to 60 in terms of dark to light.
Right.
You're right. I understand why they have the song on the album.
Right.
But I think they should have put it later in the album.
Yeah,
and normally, I don't care where bands play songs on the album, but after listening to this whole album, I'm like, they should have waited later. I mean, it would have been like putting Big Bad Bill as the second song on the Diver Down album. It's just too soon to pull that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah,
but it's a nice sunny pop song.
Yeah.
It put Van Halen back on the charts because they hadn't been there a while. And by the way, speaking of the charts, it looks like it went to number 30.
Okay.
If I'm not wrong.
Maybe I'm thinking
or
it went to number 7 on like one of the. They have all those different charts. They have.
Yeah, that could have been like the what's the other the rock.
Yeah, I don't know, the mainstream rock or something.
The mainstream rock chart or something like that. That's probably it. But I mean, look, either way, it was a top 40 charting single.
Absolutely.
So we can safely say that Van Halen hadn't had one of those in a while, and the song did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
It was a single, and it put them on the chart, and it lightened up the album a little bit.
Totally. And then we get right back into the dark with the third song, which technically was the first single from the album, which is Don't Tell Me, and then in parentheses, What Love Can Do. I mean, they have so many titles with love in it. It's unbelievable. This is really a killer guitar track right from the beginning. It's got the intensity, and it builds up to Alex's popping drums. Sammy really goes for it with the vocals here. I mean, by like 38 seconds into the song, the band is just rocking at full tilt. In between mentions of Jesus Christ and heroin, and this was apparently lyrically inspired by the death of Kurt Cobain from Nirvana. The chorus has peaks of light in it here, and lyrics were, kind of dark, but then, there's a little bit of light in the chorus. I thought this was strange, the way they released this at the end of 1994, like December 28th. Apparently, the video debuted at New Year's Eve in Times Square on MTV. The song is long. This is like 5 minutes and 56 seconds. This is sort of a long song. And according to what I read, it was at the top of the Billboard album rock tracks. Now, I never understand what that even means, that chart, the album rock tracks. I really, it's for 3 weeks, it was number 1. So
okay, another chart.
Yeah. Another chart. But this is sort of an underrated Van Hagar gem, in my opinion. I think Hagar sounds unbelievable on this song. I would imagine it would be hard for him to sing this live because he is pushing his vocals really hard here.
It's okay. I'll do what I want if I choose.